So I'm sitting out here with the H brace right now, looking at two of the arms on it. So the issue I'm having with this is, you notice this, the heim joints are supposed to be free. So that's like a ball joint. You can spin all the way around any direction. And then same thing on this side. You can spin around any direction. These ones though are completely seized. So I'm gonna take the torch, try to heat them up, see if they'll break loose. I guess we'll see. Well, heat was not the answer. So I'm going to try and soak them, leave them for a few days. If that doesn't do it, then I'm just gonna have to order new heim joints, which isn't the end of the world, but we'll see, I guess. All right, so I got 3 of the 4 heim joints out of the bars. I was right. 2 of them are left-handed threads, 2 of them are right-handed threads. These are your traditional right-hand threads. So, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This side is lefty-tighty. Basically, the reason for that is when it's installed in the car, you can simply spin this rod, and by spinning it one direction, it's going to shorten and lengthen the rod. That way you don't have to unbolt each end, unscrew it, rebolt it, unscrew it, rebolt it. So the next step now is just, I'm gonna take these 2 heim joints, I'm gonna measure the threads, check and see what the thread pitch is on them, and then I'm gonna order 2 left-hand ones and 2 right-hand ones. So that way, once I get these in the car, it'll be easy to adjust it, because the actual locking nut is seized on both sides. So they're pretty much useless to me in this state. So I'll order 4 new heim joints and we'll be good to go. Oh man, it's finally feeling like winter out here. Or fall, I guess. It is 48 degrees outside right now, which is pretty dang chilly. Man. Fuck. I forgot my dang hardware up in my... Actually, no I didn't. We're good. I think today I'm going to... I gotta go to the hardware store and get some stuff, but I think I'm going to put the car up on the ramps and mock up the H brace that I just got. I want to see where it bolts in because I have no clue how it hooks up, but I'm gonna run to the hardware store, buy some paint. I'd like to paint it red. I was going to do a powder coat it the same color as the car, but honestly I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to take it there. I don't want to wait, so I'm just gonna sand it down, degrease it, and paint it myself. Again, the issue today though is it's 48 degrees, so it's a little too cold to be painting. I'm just gonna kind of go with it, hit up Home Depot or Lowe's and buy supplies, and if I end up with everything I need to paint it inside, I guess I'll paint it inside. But I'll keep you guys posted. the shop. We're gonna mock up the H-brace, and then we're gonna remove it, sand it down, and paint it. So it's kind of cold out, but I think I'm gonna move everything inside the garage to paint it, just because there's no wind in there and I can control the temperature a little bit. So keep you guys posted. Alright, got the car up onto the ramps, so now I'm going to take the H-brace, the main portion of it, roll under the car and see kind of where it's supposed to fit in at. Alright, so I got the H-brace up under here. The square portion of it slides into the square track on the front radiator support, I guess. So this is like the bushing to the bottom of the radiator. To get the bolts in and tightened, I think I'll have to remove the top radiator mounts, lift the radiator up like maybe a ½ inch to drop the bolts down. I was gonna feed the bolts up from the bottom, but the issue is this head here is thinner than the nut. Now I could order thin nuts, but kind of a waste. I can just unbolt the radiator, lift it, drop this down so that way the head does not make contact with the radiator. When I was putting it up this way, this nut was rubbing on the radiator, which would result eventually in the radiator rubbing through. These rear mounts back here, a bolt is to go through here. It's gonna roll up here to the chassis. There's a bolt hole right there. And the bolt's gonna go through here, through there, and then pinch up against that portion there. And that will be installed. The next thing we gotta check is the bars with the Heim joints on it. I don't actually have a freaking clue where they go, so I will keep you posted. Alright, so I figured out how the traction bars mount up. So the one end of the traction bar is gonna mount to where the sway bar end link is. So here's where the sway bar mounts up. As you can see, I still have the bolt in here. It's stuck, I just got a breaker free, but this Heim joint's gonna slide onto the end of where the sway bar mounts, and then the other end will mount up here where the H-brace mounts. The other end of the traction bar is gonna mount to that same mounting hardware. So the traction bar sort of runs parallel to the H-brace. It's a little bit shallower of an angle, but either way, they're running essentially parallel, just basically to prevent wheel hop, and it's going to prevent the deflection from the bushings on the stock lower control arm. It's essentially going to be doing the same exact thing as solid bushings in the lower control arm, but without the side effect of the noise that you get from them, which I don't really worry about the noise, but I got a good deal on the H-brace and traction bars, so I figured might as well go ahead and rock with these. Alright, so I'm gonna start by just sanding down the traction bars. I've got sandpaper, and then I also have like steel wool kind of stuff to scuff it up. Alright, so we got the traction bars all finished up. They're hanging here drying still. So I'm gonna leave them in the garage to dry for a few days, just because the weather, it's super cloudy right now and it's getting colder and colder by the minute. Alright, so we're back trying to install this H-brace. I feel like it's day like 500 of getting this H-brace installed. But we got all the new hardware. I'm gonna start by unbolting the top of the radiator to slide it up and drop the front bolts that mount the front of the H-brace to the radiator support. I'm gonna drop those bolts in and put the radiator back down, and then we'll begin with actually installing the H-brace itself. Alright, so we got I took the radiator brackets off the top of the radiator. I was able to lift the radiator up, but I had to disconnect the hardware holding the front mount intercooler to the radiator, which, I don't know if you can see it in there. That way I could lift the radiator up and get the hardware in. So I got the 2 bolts in, one right there, one right here. And then I got the 2 bolts in the back right there. I got the 2 bolts in the back installed. So now we just got to throw the H-brace in and bolt her up. Alright, so we got it bolted in for the most part. See, they're just loosely hand tight, but that's how it's going to be installed in here. Now that we've got it kind of mocked up, I'm going to actually install the rest of the washers on the back side of the H-brace to finish install that side. And then I'm going to try and mock up the H-brace, or the traction bars. Alright, so we got the H-brace installed. I went to install the traction bars, and unfortunately when I went to tighten the one side, there's a little polyurethane sleeve inside of one of the heim joints. It decided to crack, so instead of putting it on with that broken sleeve, I decided to just not install the traction bars right now. Hopefully I can get the new inserts sometime this week, and I can come back this weekend or later this week and install the traction bars. But for now, let me show you what we got. So we've got the H-braces installed. I've got the hardware tightened down. You can see they run back towards the subframe, or where the lower control arms mount, and they're bolted into those 2 spots there. This is just going to help improve overall rigidity of the frame. But once we get the new inserts that were attached to the sway bar end link, we'll go ahead and install the traction bars. But for now, this is what we got. I'm still happy. I'm going to take it off the ramps. I'm going to test drive it and see if I can feel any sort of difference. I would imagine I'm not going to, but I guess we'll see. Alright, so we're gonna test drive it, see if we can notice any difference. But just looking under it from the front, you can barely see it hanging down there. You might be able to see 2 bolts down there, but it's pretty sucked up under there, so I'm not too worried about it hitting anything. I don't really run my car that low anyway, so I don't see it being an issue. But I'm gonna test drive it and I'll let you all know if I feel any difference. All right, so I'm just getting home now. I rode about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes since I put the new H-brace on, and I gotta say, it's an instant difference. The whole front end of the whole car in general felt stiffer, more responsive, but the front end particularly did feel stiffer. I think with racing the car, I could feel how sloppy the front end felt. So much so that I was prepared for my next purchase to make for the car was going to be stiffer coil springs for the front coilovers, because the front end it just felt like there wasn't enough spring right there. The car was dipping and rubbing onto the tires, but now that I've got this H-brace on, I don't think I have to get new springs. And the main reason I say that is because just driving down the highway straight, hitting bumps, you could feel the coilovers working. You could feel them bouncing. And then I stopped the car and I adjusted more clicks into the coilover, and it was a completely different change again. So I think with this H-brace installed, the coilovers are more effective. Every click that I made, it was a huge difference for what it is, for 32 click adjustment. I just think the whole car is more responsive, and now the coilovers are even more effective because the car is stiffer. I'm kind of excited to see, once I get the traction bars on, to see what difference that creates. I didn't do any hard launches, but I know in the past doing hard launches I did get a pretty good bit of wheel hop. It's not a drag race launch that I'm doing, obviously, but I am excited to get the traction bars on. I'm going to go inside here and order the bushings that I need for my Heim joints on the traction bars, so hopefully they come in this week and I can install them next week. But overall, I am very happy with the purchase. I paid less than half price for the H-brace and the traction bars together. Obviously they're used, but it's not a huge deal. My windsock keeps getting in the way. Let me just pull it off. There we go. This is my windsock for my microphone. It always bleeds onto the side of the screen, so if you ever see that in my videos, that's what it is. Yeah, all in all, I'm happy. I'm so happy with the H-brace. If you guys do enjoy this content, please comment down below, like this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Looking at the analytics of my videos, it seems like about 70% of the viewers that are watching my videos are not subscribed. So if you guys would, hit the subscribe button, like and comment these videos, and tell me if there's something you'd like to see more of or less of. Maybe you don't want to see the modifications onto my car, but only the racing, or vice versa, or car shows that I go to. Because I do try to go to a lot of car shows, as many as I can. The weather's starting to turn now, so that's going to taper off. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if there's something you'd like to see more of.